Alright, I'm going to show you a few things that I do for taking pictures. So I'll open the sim and I'll do 2 laps, and then I'll start doing like a bunch of different angles that I think I might take a picture of. So for instance, like this, I started here and I did 2 laps, top and bottom of the racetrack, and then I get to the front stretch and I start just stopping at different angles. And I just keep trying different angles that I might want to take, thinking about the way the sun is going to affect the picture and what side of the car I want to take certain shots from. And I do all of these in one go so I can try to take all those pictures without having to get back on the track again if I don't have to. But anyway, so I'll always start from chase view. This is just my personal preference. Alright, one of the main things, go into your options, go to your replay, have your motion blur on medium or high. You could do ultra, which it might help if you can't get enough motion blur, depending on your speed or not zoomed in enough, so it won't actually add enough. So ultra might help you there. And the other thing would be this DOF effect right here is your other main thing that really helps with the blur and kind of setting your car off. You'll have to reset the sim if you turn motion blur and DOF on. Alright, once you got that, alright, you're going to hit Control F12 to bring up your camera. And you can use the W, A, S, and D keys to move your camera forward, backward, left to right. And you've got all these up here you can mess with. Now if you change your aim type to static, then it opens these right here. So you can go angled here, you can change your pitch, and you can change your left to right pointing, right? So your Y orientation. So you got that. So I'm using the W and S key to move in and out, and then W and D left to right. Alright, so let's just do this angle right here. So I'm going to pull the camera out, and then I'm going to take this top slider up here and zoom back in, right? And now I can move this pitch up. And you can change this position here if you want to get it where you want it. So if you get it at a decent spot, right, what you can do is hit Control Z at this point, and it will open up your mouse where you can move it with your mouse, and then you use the W, A, S, and D keys still do the same thing, but now you can scroll your mouse wheel to pitch it and move your mouse however you want it. So you can kind of maneuver it how you want it there, and you can see how I can get a good picture from that. So basically how that's working is this aperture right here. So if I go to 32, you can see the background back here has now cleared up, right? So now if I make this 1, look what it's done here. Look at that's too much. The aperture's too low. So the aperture really depends on your zoom. So now if I move in, I'm leaving the aperture at 1. Zoom in, now we'll pull the camera closer and then zoom out, right? Like this. Now you see, even at 1, it's still clear. Right? So you can zoom in just a little bit and get that blur effect you want and still have like a wide angle shot, which is pretty neat. And that's how that aperture and zoom works. But you got to make sure you play with moving the camera away and zooming in to pull. What it does is it pulls the background in closer, and then you can play with your aperture to get it a decent blur without being crazy. And I'm not sure how I've damaged the front of my car here. But anyway. And that's how you get a good depth of field, right? That's the DOF effect. And you can play around with that. Now, let's go back to where I was driving. So let's go right here. So now what I would like to do here, all right, I'm still going to use the pull it away, zoom in, right? Now I'm going to turn this motion blur up. See what it's doing here? It's adding that motion blur. So now normally, if I were to change cameras, so now that the motion blur is gone, see? What you want to do is make sure you hit next frame right here at the bottom, and it'll turn on that motion blur because it basically sets it in motion. So one of the things here is if you have it static still from chase camera, you've moved it around, if you change the angle, now it's messed up your motion blur angle and it looks kind of goofy. So what I normally do is I'll look at the lines right here and line them up straight, because you can see where they change right in here. So if I angle it, you can see they'll straighten up and you'll see the motion blur matches the motion of the car, and it just looks better that way. And that is how you get motion blur. It's really that simple. As far as getting better looking stuff, I use ReShade, and if you have any inkling of how that works, I suggest using that. It's just easier than having to edit pictures later, but you can just take these screenshots and edit the picture later. And what I do when I take screenshots, all right, hit spacebar, gets rid of that, and then hit Shift, Windows key and S, or Windows key Shift S, and it'll pull up your snipping tool. I'll highlight it and just let go, and it'll auto copy it, and you can click it and you have the screenshot. Now you can save it from here if you want, but it automatically copies it to your clipboard. And now the settings I used for this individual test session was a static clear sky, late afternoon Atlanta on the oval. It gets a really good, like, warm, sunny feeling. Yeah, cloudy and night pictures really just don't look that great on iRacing. But if I turn my ReShade off, you see how kind of bright and hazy everything is. But now if I turn it back on, boom. I don't really have to edit this later because I run iRacing with this on top. And this is basically what that looks like. I've just got an overlay that's got all these different features. Like I said, if you'll look into ReShade and how to set it up, I would suggest doing that if you don't want to edit them later. But you can edit them later on any kind of Photoshop or even on the browser. They make several different editors that are free just through the browser. Don't even have to download anything, and you can edit them from there. But that's pretty much it as far as what I do to take pictures, and you can just kind of build on that as you see fit.